Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
And hello and welcome to episode 206 of On the Bench, the podcast for modelers by modelers, all about modelers. This episode is brought to you through the generous support of all of our Patreon supporters. You too can help support the show. Simply go to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from as little as $2 per month. Your contributions help with our production and hosting costs and are greatly appreciated. And of course, every Patreon supporter gets an OTB sticker and goes into our fantastic Patreon supporter Wheel of Fortune for a fantastic prize.
Are you looking for top quality paints for your next project? Then look no further than the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's hobby paint. Hi, I'm Scott, and as a passionate modeler myself, I've spent years creating the SMS product range, designing them specifically with the Scale Modeler in mind. We have worked extensively to develop our acrylic lacquer paint range to not only be airbrush ready straight out of the bottle, but also to be easy to use so that anyone of any skill level can create professional results with minimal effort. Just give the bottle a good shake, pour into your airbrush, and spray at 15 psi. So dive into your next project with confidence, knowing that you're backed by one of the finest hobby paints on the market. Head over to our website at scalemodeler.com.au to check out our full range and to find your closest retailer.
And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio, I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, g'day listeners.
And Julian.
Good morning.
How have we been since last week?
Yeah, I know, we've got an extra episode, Frey.
Extra episode, yes.
Yeah, good. Finally got a little bit of modelling done.
Good.
In my little workspace, teeny tiny little workspace.
Is that on the boat you're building?
Yeah, it's on that Yamato. So I'm starting on the main superstructure.
Gotta get that over and done with.
Yeah, exactly.
That's dragging out, isn't it?
Oh, not really.
I feel like it is.
Oh, maybe it is.
How long have you been at it?
Well, actually working hours, I don't know, probably about a month.
I mean, it's been your current project for how long?
Well, yeah, I haven't really been doing all that much.
Right. I just want to see you build something else.
Yeah, well, we've got the 48-hour bash coming up, so I'll be building something different for that.
And we're going to be actually talking to
James
Skiffins to have a bit of a preview of what's coming up. So
yeah,
it should be pretty cool.
Yes. It's been fun the last 3 years, and I'm looking forward to this year as well. Should be good. All goes for a good charity.
It has. Julian, what have you been doing? No, you brought some stuff in to show us.
Yeah, so I bought
really
some
cool.
some aftermarket stuff for a car model.
Surprise!
Yeah, that I bought from Japan. So there is a Facebook group. It's mostly for Japanese car modelers.
Yep.
But there are some, non-Japanese people that sort of poke their head in there, and sometimes they post stuff, but it's mostly the Japanese models that are posting.
Mm-hmm.
They do it's a really high level. On average, very high level. Really, really stunning work. And one of the guys in there, I know that he was designing up some suspension components and things like that for car models. So I thought, I'll click on his link to his little blog or whatever it is and have a look. And sure enough, he's got like stuff for multiple different cars that I'm interested in. And he sells them.
All right.
And he sells them in a way that I can buy them without actually having to ask my mate who lives in Japan to buy it and send it out to me.
Oh, that's handy. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was like some $20-$25 or something like that for this, and the shipping was probably about the same. So I don't know how much it came out to in the end, but it probably wasn't that cheap. But that said, it's still
from what I've seen, it's very high quality.
Yeah, it is. So it's 3D printed wheels.
And
right?
for what car?
This is for a 1970 Celica, TA22 Celica, or Celica if you're American.
Yes, that's right. Got to get it right.
Yes, got to speak the lingo. Got to make myself understood. Yes, and anyway, so there's these 3 wheels. They come with the tires as well, so it's not like I need. You know, it's always refreshing to have.
And they're multi-part too. The wheels.
Yeah, these are multi-part. So you've basically got the tire, and then you've got the rim, and then the spokes sort of section.
Yes. So you got the outer rim and the center section.
Yeah. Which means that by the time you've done, you don't have to worry about any little nubs for the supports. Mm-hmm. So once it's all cleaned up, it just goes together completely smooth and perfect on the outside, no matter what angle you view it from, and that's the ideal.
Yes.
So this is really a case of made by modelers for modelers. You know, no corners cut.
Yep.
Because sometimes you do get like I've ordered 3D printed wheels and stuff before, and
they're pretty ordinary.
Well, I mean, it's like there'll always be like an area where the supports have been stuck to it, and they've just sort of broken it off of that, put it in a box, and send it out to you, and you got to clean it up, and sometimes it means it's not going to look that great from behind. Yeah, not that you're supposed to see it that way, but unlike with tanks, like you're even less likely to see someone turn over a car model to see the underside of it, even though there's stuff to see there.
Yes, totally agree. I
mean, it's all right. Anyway, there's more in this kit than just the wheels. So there's also basically it's a whole modification for the suspension and stuff, so that you can get it
from what I can see,
the appropriate ride height that looks right.
Sits pretty low, that car.
Yeah, and that means it's also got like the whole rear axle is replaced. Mm-hmm. It's got a replacement grille, so it's instead of like a molded mesh looking thing, it's actually got like hole. You can actually see all the way through it to the
so it's proper
radiator
mesh.
and everything.
Yeah, it's proper mesh, right?
Yeah. And I think it's also got like exhaust, like at least the muffler. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe it's because it's just like he just wanted to upgrade it, because usually the anything on the exhaust on a model is
very ordinary,
very very
basic,
ordinary.
Yes,
because they're not going to mold it in multiple pieces if they can help it, and it doesn't look too good from certain angles. And, you would need to because often like the pipe that comes along is separate from the muffler, and the muffler is going to be more, a different metal material kind of looking appearance kind of thing, and some parts get rusty, some parts do not, and all that sort of crap. Yes. And rather than, it's the little details that really separate the good models from the average ones. Yeah,
true.
So like if you ever have like an engine bay, you can see like all the little hose clamps and things like that are always usually missing from the kit parts.
I totally agree. Totally agree, mate. Yeah. Well, the two Edward Mustangs I ordered came in. The P51B and the P51B/C.
Excellent.
Which are very nice. Typical Edward. Lots of detail. Lots of little, like your photo etch, and you got your canopy masks. And absolute ton of different variations of paint schemes. So,
I hope you build one of those soon.
Yeah.
Ish.
Well, I've got
I've
so many Edward Mustangs. It's like my Edward Spitfire collection. It's just huge.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the P51B.
Yeah,
that's the best B. I mean, the best P51 in my opinion. I'm so over the D.
Yeah, all right.
The classic, the one you see everywhere. I want to see the one that was phased out. With the Razorback sort of fuselage.
Yes. But no, I think I said last episode I've already pre-ordered two Royal
classes,
P40s. So looking forward for them to come in.
Okay.
So that'll be my next big Edward collection.
Well, I don't understand how you come to these decisions.
Oh, easy. I just know there's so many, especially the P40. The P40 there's just so many different variations, and they scream nose art and I love nose art.
Yeah, I know, but that's a lot of money to drop, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know
it was.
what
They weren't cheap.
How much?
They were close to 190 each.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, man.
So,
So you spent 400 Aussie dollars on
4 kits.
Yeah, okay.
And I nearly, and I still am, but probably next month. But I nearly did a pre-order for the Very Fire 1/350 scale Yamato that's coming out. So there's another 400 odd bucks.
So these days, I really pay attention to time that I would spend building when it comes to choosing and buying kits, because I just go, what are the chances of me building this within a year, within 5 years, within 10 years kind of thing, and how long am I going to be building these kind of subjects before I may change my mind and switch to a different genre?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But
because we go through our phases, don't we, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you go through an aircraft phase, an armor phase,
yes,
a ship molding phase, and maybe you circle back around. But I don't want shelf space being taken up by all these models that I'm likely not to build. Because it's really a shame when you go, oh, I bought that kit and I was so psyched up about it on the time, and I still kind of am, but I really wouldn't build it any time within the next 5 years.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know in the top of your head that there's another 30 models in front of it that would get built first.
Mm. Yes, that's also the big dilemma when you've got a huge stash. Like when you're trying to make up your mind what you're going to build next.
Yeah. See,
sometimes I can spend
in that sense,
hours upon hours, like even half a day, just looking through, just thinking, what am I going to build next?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I always I never have that problem. Like it's always like, oh, I'll start building this now. Yes, we'll do it. And you know, and it's like even I'll even start building something even if though I know that I'm not gonna finish it anytime soon. I was like, I know I'm only gonna get this far. Like maybe just get the painting on the body of this car model done.
Yeah.
Now this weekend I want to get this done, and then I can put it back in the box and not have to worry about it for a while. I'll deal with the rest of it some other time. You know.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, maybe that's just a quirk of car models, just because you don't want to touch the paint anytime.
Well, that's
soon.
one thing I've got to do this year. I've got to build a car model this year.
Oh, cool.
I've got that many in the stash. I've got to build one. Then the problem is which one.
Well, maybe you should build an Aussie one so you can come in with me at ACT next year or this year. Yeah, this year. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, with the whole Aussie car build thing.
Oh, you're doing Aussie car for?
Yeah.
What are you building?
I got a Tirana.
Which? Oh, the LJ or the A9X?
The later one.
The A9X.
No, actually it isn't. It's the earlier one.
Yeah, the LJ.
Okay, yeah, that one.
LJ/LC.
Yeah, one of them.
Tirana. Oh,
one
cool.
of those boxings. Yeah.
Yep. What colour are you thinking?
Oh, I'm not sure, but maybe a purple.
Oh, good. Because the one I've got, I was thinking about going lime green.
Are you going to build a Tirana?
I've got one. Yeah.
Oh,
I've got an
okay.
LJ.
I didn't.
Yeah, I
I thought you would just be straight on the Ford thing.
No. I'm not one in that camp. But I'm only Ford. And, no, I've got Fords.
No, I mean, but I know you're
GMs.
I know you're a big Ford guy, right?
Yeah, I like me Fords.
Yeah, so I thought that you would if you've got both kits in the stash, you would just go for the Ford straight up.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No. And the rumour is they're going to be bringing out a couple of Mopar kits hopefully this year too. Aussie Mopars.
Oh, I think everyone appreciates the Chrysler Charger.
Yeah, the Charger or the Pacer would be really
Remember
nice.
the TV ad? Hey, Charger.
Yeah. The funny thing about that ad,
What?
the guy was missing a finger.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's why he always wore a glove.
So, for those our American friends, we had a different Charger to the ones that you guys had in the US.
We had our own muscle cars.
Yeah, we didn't have the Dodge Charger. We had the Chrysler Charger.
Yes.
Which was a 2-door fastback.
Yep.
And it had a TV ad. And as people drove past, people would do like the V for Victory sign with their fingers and go, "Hey, Charger!" as it drove past.
Yes.
And it had a straight 6, was it?
Yep.
Yep.
With triple Webers.
Yep.
Yes.
And this, I've been in one before, and I tell you what, it is change your undies time. These things were so fast.
Yeah, they were good for a 6-cylinder. They really got up.
Yeah, they were just an amazing car.
What was the size of the engine?
Was it 265 or something?
I think so. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, they were. They were just. That was the E39, I think. E39. Because later on with the E55, they went to the 318, I think.
Don't know.
They put the Fireball engine
In
on
any
it.
case, it doesn't
V8.
sort of fit what you would think a Charger is in the US. You know, V8,
Yeah.
V8 and
Yeah.
like big,
Yeah.
big, huge square body looking thing.
No, these
very
things
different.
Yeah, these things are, and they look cool. They look cool, especially the RT version with the decals on the front guards. They look really cool.
Well, let's talk about some real modelling stuff. And
Okay.
Real modelling.
Sure. I can sort of feel from my left side, like Dave's going, can you guys like wrap that crap up? I want to talk about something else. Can we get this back on track?
Well, so this is for Ian, and it comes from the Cult TV man. It's got a newsletter. I'm signing the newsletter. So, the new Godzilla Kong New Empire model is coming out. It's on order. The new Godzilla kit. And they're taking pre-orders. So this is a Godzilla from 2024 from last year's Godzilla Kong the New Empire.
Yep.
It's about 10 inches from head to tail assembled, and it includes a Godzilla skeleton, which fits inside the model or can be displayed alongside it. So I think, Ian, that's something right up your alley.
Definitely is. And it's got a great stance too.
Yeah. So go and knock that one out of the park, mate.
Yep.
Go and check it
That's
out.
one for Ian.
It is. I haven't done much since the last episode. I've been a little bit of mucking around on the Harrier, but that's, I think, you know what, I'm just going to paint it now. I'm just tired of stuff.
You're over it?
Yeah. I was going to paint it. And,
Bit of a pig of a kid, is it?
oh, yeah. Well, it is, but, you know, it's, I don't think it has to be perfect for the build or the finish, so for the group build. So I'm at that point now where, okay, man, this is enough. I just want to push it out.
Yeah,
But,
see, I'm with you on this, Dave. See, to Ian laughs like that because he sees it as a sign of weakness to not, do 10 out of 10 work.
Yes.
I don't care,
Yeah, me neither. It's like,
And when it stops being fun, that's when I lose interest. So
I agree with you there. If it stops being fun.
Yeah. Well, I can get to that point pretty quickly. Yeah,
I can too.
but there's also like a secondary sort of path where it's sort of like I still like the subject and I still want to build this model.
Yeah.
But because it's got a flaw in it, a flaw that I can't fix.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I'll just run it out kind of thing rather than
And
continue to
that's-
do
yeah.
the 10. Because it's like every step of the long way, you go 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Then you get to one where it's like, that's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Then you're like, well, it's already flawed. I may as well just sort of finish it off.
Let's just hope the paint job hides it. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I reckon we do some listener mail, Dave.
Yeah, let's do some listener mail. So, the first one it actually comes, it just pops straight into our mailbox just then. It comes to Richard. Hello, gentlemen. Writing to you en masse. He's writing to all podcasts. For the sake of efficiency, so please accept my apologies for lack of personalisation. We will. I have a show discussion topic for you all to all ponder. Scale Wars. The premise is as simple as it is fictional. I imagine I have hired each of you as a consultant to my brand new, again fictional, scale model manufacturing company. I want to shake up the injection model kit industry, and relying on your knowledge and expertise, I'm not interested in which kit you want made that either doesn't exist yet or is in need of new tooling. Instead, I want to know your opinions on scale. So, each of you individually tasking you each individual 2 assignments. So time and money are not considerations, because again it's all fictional. Number 1, you must eliminate a standard popular model in scale from the genre of your choosing and justify your choice. Wow, you must eliminate a scale
from our genre.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
from
that's
a genre. must eliminate a standard popular modelling scale. So just get rid of the scale itself.
Okay. Well, I would pick 1/24th scale aircraft.
Oh, big call. But that's like the 1/16th scale armour stuff. That's why that's so popular. You'd rip that out.
No, because like I'd say like for any given genre, there's a small, medium, and large, right?
Yep.
72nd scale, 48th scale, 32nd scale, and then you got 1/24th scale, which is just unnecessarily too large. Like you've already got large, you don't need extra large.
Yeah, 124 is pretty big.
Like it's the most unnecessary. Like you can only do prop fighters in that scale. No one's going, hey man, have you seen the new 1/24th scale B-29? Like, it's not happening. Like no one's got space for that. No one.
All right. What about you, Ian? Which scale would you get rid of?
Oh,
I remember it's not genre
actually, yes,
specific.
I would get rid of 1/25th scale cars.
1/25th
Oh yeah, that's
scale.
a good one, isn't it?
No, not cars. Just a scale you got to get rid of. And
Oh, that's
justify.
it.
Yeah, 1/25th.
So it has to span broadly across all genres.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, 1/25th.
oh.
That's me. 1/25th.
Yeah, that's probably the most useless. Yeah.
To me, that's just why not just stick to 1/24?
But a straight quarter scale then.
But that's to be honest, that's a very low hanging fruit, a real obvious like safe one, I reckon.
So
because it's not as anywhere near as controversial as 32nd versus 35th. That's the controversial choice. Like which one? Do you
in
go
that
on?
case, well, see if it was like
That's the
per
divisive one.
genre, I'd probably say 1/35th scale. Also, 1/35th scale aircraft.
See, the thing is, like all
Really, why do we need
if-
1/35th scale aircraft?
Yeah, but see that's the thing, right? Like when it comes to 32nd scale versus 35th scale, all the aircraft guys are going to be like 32nd scale,
Yeah,
and then all the armor people are going to be like 35th scale. That's the one I want.
yeah.
Get rid of the other one. But only people who build both aircraft and armor are going to sort of go, They're the only ones you really should listen to if you don't listen to anyone.
I'm at the other end of the scale. I reckon you should get rid of 1 to 1/1500th scale.
Or 1 to 2,000.
Oh,
Well, let's start
those
with the
teeny tiny little ships.
Yes, you get rid of those stupid little tiny ships. You get rid of a whole heap of sci-fi stuff that should be in either 1/1000 or bigger, so you can knock them all out of the park as well. Yeah, so it's just a piddling scale. Get rid of it. That's my argument.
Fair enough.
That's
And what's the second one?
the second one. So you shall replace the eliminated scale by adding a new scale for any genre of your choice that you believe is not represented well in the industry or even at all.
1/24 scale armor.
No, it's going to be genre agnostic.
What do you mean agnostic?
Agnostic. I mean, it doesn't matter what genre. We're just concentrating on the scale. So you've already kicked out 1/25th scale.
No, it says you shall replace the eliminated scale by adding a new scale
Yes.
for any modelling genre of your choice.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's why I said 1/24 scale armor.
Oh, okay. 1/24th scale, huh? What's wrong with 1/16th?
Nothing. For people who like building cars can then
Yeah,
have the
you
same
know,
scale,
he
1/24
makes
scale
it-
cars and tanks put in the same
It
thing.
makes a good point of it says specifically for any modeling genre, but it also says it for the previous one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From a genre of your
Yeah,
choosing.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why I
well,
said
so as a-
1/25 scale cars.
Yeah.
I was right.
I'm going to have to go with 1/25th scale cars too. Also, you know what? By eliminating that scale, you get rid of all the AMT kits.
Oh, make AMT rescale their cars.
So what are you replacing it with? What scale are you going to replace it with? Part 2 of the
by
challenge.
adding a new scale for any modeling genre
So
of
what's
your
a new scale?
choice. Oh, that's a good one. That's an interesting one.
Oh, for cars,
I
Well,
reckon.
it doesn't.
1/16.
I don't think it needs. I don't think you would need to find a scale that perfectly fits a certain genre that doesn't exist already, right? Or-
1/10th scale armor.
Why
What?
1/10?
Yeah.
No.
Big present.
You just
But
want
you've already got
Gravitas.
160. You already got 116.
Do you just want a model that you can
Yeah,
just
but
you
then-
can sit inside or something?
Maybe.
You know,
What's wrong with that?
a kit designed by both Tamiya and Lazy Boy.
Yes.
Can you imagine, like, Dave sitting in an armchair that's shaped like a M113 in his living room?
Don't give him ideas.
Motorise it, sit inside it, and go drive around the backyard.
Oh no! Now I'm picturing you driving that thing around a Walmart.
Yeah. And he can't
You know,
talk.
'cause-
He just has his light that just flashes when he tries to talk, just like that Star Trek. That
It's got
original
a
Star
little
Trek
horn.
episode.
It's got a little horn so he can beat people out of his way.
And he needs the big yellow, the orange flag on the big tall pole.
Mate, if I'm driving a 110 scale tank, I don't need no flag. You'd have presence. You'd know I'm coming.
Yeah,
But no, I'm sticking with my choice. Get rid of 125th scale automotive.
Yeah, that's an
and
easy
add
one.
124
But-
scale armor.
when it comes to replacing, because I think there's too many scales, it's easier to get rid of one, but it's not easy to bring in a new one.
Yep. Well, that's me out of the way. Now it's up to you guys.
Oh, but it says
Well, I've already said my scale.
Oh, but it says to a genre of your choice, so that
Yep.
means that you could say bring in
Yep.
a scale that already exists to a genre that doesn't have it.
Oh, that's a different one.
It is 124 scale armor. I'm pretty sure that you can't get 124 scale armor, but I might be wrong.
You can't get 110 scale armor either. There you go.
1/24th scale figures, which is kind of there, but not really.
What?
It's not. It's definitely not a standardized thing. That way, I get lots of figures for my cars.
There's lots of
Oh, okay. What about 110 scale busts? That would look pretty cool. Give you a bigger canvas to work on.
Do busts
Actually, what about 1/5?
Oh, 1/5 works as well.
But busts are not really in any scale. It's just bust scale. Right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, good point.
That's a good point. They almost need to be a bit standardized, right?
Well, you'd think, but the trouble is they're done by artists who do like a one-off sort of sculptors. And
I think they're more likely to be done by people who do 3D printing, because
know.
then they'll do a figure and then they'll do a larger sized version, but as a bust, and
Right.
then they have to scale it.
yeah, possibly.
1/5 scale dinosaurs. There's a big presence.
Imagine do a brontosaurus in 1/5 scale.
Brontosaurus. There's no such thing.
A brontosaurus?
Apatosaurus, you mean?
No, brontosaurus. I've seen it on the Flintstones.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't exist. It's called Dave. It's called an Apatosaurus.
Okay, Rick,
All
I hope
right.
you're happy with that.
Yep.
Yep. You've just made us all disagree with each other. Well done.
Okay. All right, so we got a couple of questions from Finland.
Oh.
Comes from our one of our newest Patreon supporters. Thanks for mentioning my name as a new patron in the latest episode, and especially for having the courage to try to pronounce it. It went rather well, but if I had known that, I would have provided a bit of instructions for future reference. The first syllable, spelt J-O-U, should
Yo.
sound like the American slang yo. And the second syllable, N-I, should sound like the knights who say ni
So,
from Monty
Yoni.
Python.
Yoni.
So, Yoni. I thought I got it right because I actually went. Okay, Yoni, listen to this. I actually plugged in the name to Google, and you can push a button to pronounce it. And I thought I had Yoni pretty well right.
Is it Yoni or Yoni?
Yoni.
Yo. Oh, Yoni.
Yoni.
Yeah, Yoni.
Yoni.
Okay.
Yoni.
Okay. All right.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so he's got a couple of questions. And by the way, thanks for being a Patreon supporter.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. As for some real modelling related content, I listened to your episode about DDA models when it aired, and then I tried Googling for availability of those kits just to find out they're not really available, at least outside of Australia. He did another round of Googling, and it still looks like there are only very few kits that are available and only in Aussie web stores. Have you been following how DDA have been progressing with plastic model business, and do you know if there's any retailers for them outside of Australia, preferably for me, of course, being in the EU area? Also, have any of your friends built any of the kits, and what's the quality compared to bigger car model players like Tamiya, Hasegawa, Fujimi, and Revell?
So you're not going to find them outside of Australia, I don't think. There's never going to be a market
You
for
need to
them.
find.
I think I disagree. I think there will be a market for them outside of Australia.
No, because a big part of models is people like buying models of things that they're into. And there's no one in Europe or the USA who's ever driven one of these cars.
Yeah,
right?
but they're so different. That would be the trigger to make you want to buy one.
Yeah, but there's not enough interest to warrant them being
there's
sold.
a lot of there's a lot of XB coupes in America at the moment.
Yeah. They're
going nuts.
And Commodores.
And especially the
but
Commodore Utes.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, they're just going crazy over there for the
In any
Commodore
case,
Utes.
I don't think it would be a good idea financially for anyone.
Well, you know
any
what?
retailer
I'm going to reach
pick it
out to DDA and ask a question, and we'll come back to Yoni about that.
up. As for the
and look, and worst case scenario, just get in contact with one of us if you want something.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
might
we
be able
could
to
we
work
could
something out
work
for you.
something out, yeah.
If you're after a particular car,
Yep.
Because I know my local hobby shop, which is 5-minute walk from home,
Yeah.
which is a terrible thing. They've got a great selection of DDA
Yeah,
kits.
we could slip it in the mail. Trouble is, mail out of Australia is horrendously expensive
Well,
at the
that's it.
moment.
Yeah, you just got to put up with the mail cost. But if you're definitely after something, just drop us a line.
Julian, what
I'll see
about
what we can
the
work
second part of the question, where how does it compare?
I haven't.
I've seen a few built, and I reckon they look freaking awesome.
I think that the current releases are probably going to be better than the very first couple of releases, like the Kingswood, just because they've figured things out, right?
Yep.
They've sort of they're still settling into the plastic genre. It's pretty good, but it's very different.
They're curbside, yeah.
Yeah, and like there's screws, like you can think of them as like a plastic version of like a die cast kind of thing. So there's like large holes in various sort of bits and pieces for screws to go in to hold it all together. Like on the underside, you'll never get the underside to look like
No, and they all come with half engines.
half engines.
Yeah, the bottom half. There's no bottom half of the engines
Oh,
because it's all a flat panel.
I'm not sure about that because some of them are designed to be like open top, like no hood, no bonnet. You know, it's just the engine with a big supercharger thing
plus there's a
sticking out.
company out here in Australia that makes some really nice aftermarket stuff for them.
Fortunately, a lot of the engines anyway are interchangeable with because they're American engines. A lot of them, you know, American, Chev V8s and Ford V8s, things like that. So there's you can probably find some resin aftermarket with which to
Dolly them up.
Yeah, if you want to.
But yeah, like I said, the ones I've seen built look really good, and I've spoken to a few people that have built them, and they've all enjoyed the building them.
What'll catch you off guard if you're used to building car molds is that the plastic is thick, really thick.
Yeah.
Like much more robust and thick than you would expect it to be from Oshima or anyone else.
Yeah, it's not flimsy plastic.
Yeah. You could drop it.
Yep.
Your paint would be stuffed, but you could drop it.
Yeah, exactly. You won't damage it.
There you go, Yoni. I hope that helps out. Well, obviously, we'll be back and we'll talk about that. I'll reach out to DDA and see what they got. Lee Edmonds writes in, I enjoyed your most recent episode, had a good laugh at your chat on several occasions. You guys must be fun to go drinking with. Yeah, we can be.
Yeah.
Unlike Dave, I've always restricted my spaceship collection to 1/44th, so it doesn't take up too much room. Because there are so many kits of so many rockets, I've limited myself to man-rated rockets, apart from Sputnik and the rear-stat Redstone launcher. I'm wondering if there is a kit of the recent Boeing attempt at the man-rated 1/44th scale rocket and whether it's really still man-rated after the recent fiasco. I think we're talking about the Boeing Starliner. Tell us, Dave, is there already a kit available of the SpaceX full-stack Starship? Or do I need to get the builder around to put up an extension on the house to make a model of it? Well, in 3D print world, there is lots of SpaceX Starship kits available. But beyond that, I'm not aware of anyone who's actually producing it in any of the scales other than 3D print at the moment. So I certainly look forward to getting a Starship in 72nd scale at some point, because I reckon it'll make a lovely, huge model.
Yep.
But it'll have to be 3D printed, that's for sure. Lee also goes on to mention that Models of Ballarat are holding their annual display swap and sell again this year. The event will be on Sunday the 13th of April between 10 a.m. and 2:30. They'll also have the Bendigo and Sunbury scale modelling clubs in attendance, as well as vendors. The location will be the Eastwood Leisure Centre in Eastwood Street, central Ballarat. It's on the other side of the road, back from the Woolies supermarket, so you can't miss it. Where they're actually going to be holding displays a little bit uncertain at the moment, because it's been announced that the centre's going to be knocked down and replaced with something more modern. But if the demolition starts soon, our usual place will be in ruins. But don't be alarmed, because if you turn up and find a building site, our display will be held in the basketball court at the rear of the site, and you'll find us there. Details how to get in touch with us have been posted on a number of Facebook pages, including on the bench, so it should be easy to contact. Keep them coming. All the best from Lee. Thanks, mate. Brian O'Donoghue writes in, "G'day, gents. Well, I knew that Dave would be very excited with the real space releases, even in 144 scale. And also, I must say that Revell have now come out with a brand spanking new Artemis ship in exactly the same scale as Airfix.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm torn now which one to get. I guess I could get both, because there's only been 2 built so far, so that would kind of make sense.
Yes.
But, yeah.
It'd be interesting to compare them. And
It
see
would be. Brian Wright continues on. I was very excited to see the Stalwart high mobility load carrier. It's a great choice. This is the Airfix kit. It's a great choice, as the base chassis can be used for the Saladin armoured car, and also the Saracen, which is a 6x6 APC. I didn't realise you could. It was the same base. The Stalwart and the Saracen were finally withdrawn from service in the 1990s, and the Stalwart were ultimately withdrawn as they were petrol engine rather than the favoured diesel. The Stalwart was affectionately known as Stolly, and was used by the armoured units as a replenishment vehicle, and could carry the unit bulk refuelling equipment. There were versions with a crane for the artillery, and also one for RAMI, which is the Royal Engineers Mechanical. Oh God, I should know what RAMI stands for. Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. That's got it. The Stolly was fully amphibious until the amphibious role was removed following a change in doctrine. There were resin kits available from Accurate Armour and Firing Line, and I have both of those kits, he says. So
Here's one of them anyway.
Oh, yeah. So this was a very welcome release from Airfix. But this will be a lot cheaper. I certainly would think so. I do hope Airfix expand the range, as they have some of the work already completed. I guess we will know when the kit comes out and we can see the parts breakdown. The Ferret last saw service in Gulf War 1, and we backloaded ours in 1992. The marking option includes a vehicle from this period.
Geez, they had a long history, didn't they?
A
the
long
Ferret?
life, the Ferret, yeah.
Oh.
It was such a successful sort of design. Accessories for the Ferret are plentiful, with Scorpion miniature models, along with the CVRT series, Centurion, and other British armour. If you add in accessories available by Chris Meddings, you are spoilt for choice, as I already have 3 Ferrets in the stash plus conversions, and I might yet add another. So another fantastic year to be a modeller. I wonder what the next
Andy's Hobby Headquarters
announcement will be. Keep up the great work. That's from Brian. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? All right. So another email in from Uriah Con.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I got that right.
Cone.
It's a bit late, but never better than never. Congratulations on 200 episodes.
Thank you.
I enjoyed listening to each one of them, and now waiting for the next 2,000. To Ian, I found that using insulated panels, this is in regards to building a man cave, is a very practical method of building a fast and cheap shed or garage. The only problem is that you can't hang anything on the walls without reinforcements. 15 years ago, I built a poorly insulated shed, and my building mojo went to zero until we moved to a new house. and a dedicated man cave was built in the bomb shelter.
Oh, what got a cool. He's got a bomb shelter.
I want to hear more about the bomb shelter
me too.
in your house.
Yeah. Tell us more about your bomb shelter.
Turning it into a bill cave as well. Recently, I researched about Aussie World War II aircraft using Google Gemini AI, and it gave some wrong answers. While this new technology is easy to use and very intuitive, it sometimes has hallucinations. As modelers, we must cross-check the information we want to have. Also, I believe that in the very near future, AI will be able to fully design model 3D parts for 3D printing files. So that's a big call. And a bit further on, full models in CAD in the development stage of kits. In episode 203, Julie mentioned the differences between going to a local show and travelling to a remote one. I suggest making things even better in a show you travel to, a proper vacation hobby-wise. The first international art show I went to was Telford in 2016, and together with two modelling mates, we made a week-long road trip in Britain. We visited Cosford and Duxford RAF museums and went to Yeovilton FAA Museum. It was flawless and great fun, and I highly recommend combining this type of vacation with a show, Happily Modelling.
Oh, he's attached some photos.
Yeah, from
cool.
with a Chinook flying past Stonehenge.
Oh, very cool.
That's a really good idea if you're going all the way overseas or somewhere like that. Of course,
we did,
yeah. So when we last all went as a group to the Nationals, we stopped off at Hawaii and
Washington.
And had a great sort of trip around the world.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, I think next time I want to spend a bit more time.
Yeah,
because especially in Washington, there was so much we missed. We only went to really see one place in Washington, but there's so much more.
Yeah,
but that's just how it is. Like no matter where you go,
you'll
never be able to afford the amount of time necessary.
No, that's right. But but even like maybe another 2 or 3 days in Washington would have been better.
This is why people, if you hear about them, they'll get stuck on a certain country and just keep returning to it over and over again.
Like me.
Keep going to Canada and America.
Yeah. But I've got reasons. I've got mates and friends over there and all that sort of stuff. All right. Now, last episode I mentioned that we got SpeakPipe, which is the way that you guys can actually reach out to us and leave a voice message. And I was saying that nobody's used it, so I was going to shut it down because it's costing me $15 a month. But in late news, we've got
two messages.
So
Fantastic.
how about I play the first one and we'll find out what it's all about. One sec.
G'day guys, it's Clayton here from Workbench Hobbies. When I was listening in to the podcast that I heard Dave mention that this service was costing him $15 to keep it alive a month, I couldn't resist the urge to use it, leave a message and just sow that seed of doubt in the hope that I might be costing him $15 a month. So take it for what it's worth. I think it's a great idea, Dave, and I would encourage all the listeners to get amongst it and use this service because it's really a cool way to connect and join in to the conversation. Anyway, keep up the great work, boys. It's so good to have you back this year. Looking forward to catching up and building more models, talking about more models and just enjoying the hobby. Thanks again, fellas. Catch you later.
Thanks, Clayton.
Cheeky
He's a great guy. And he dropped our name again.
Yeah, he did.
In one of his latest episodes, which was good to see.
And don't forget to check out Clayton's fantastic YouTube channel, which is Workbench Hobbies.
Yep.
Generally comes out every Friday, every second Friday, I should say. But he does post some other stuff. Fantastic armour builder. And he really makes it easy to understand how to do weathering and that type of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And he does it in an entertaining fashion as well.
He does too, yeah. No, I like his videos. I always watch them.
Yeah, so do I. I've got it plugged in, I'm subscribed to his channel, so every time it got a new one, it pops up. So, yeah, really cool.
Very cool.
So go.
Wait, he's got a YouTube channel?
Good on you, Julian. bit of a step back.
I thought it was just this guy that kept coming up to me whenever I'm in ACT.
Some random dude just comes along.
Yeah, he just turns up and starts,
All right, let's have a listen to the next one.
Cool.
G'day guys at On The Bench. It's Wes here from Sydney. I've got a question that I'm guessing is going to involve all of you. It's a little bit science fiction, a little bit rockets, and a little bit car finishing, I assume. I have an Apollo 27 kit by Pegasus that I'm putting together, and the main hull of it is in two halves. Now, I want to do a shiny, glossy, sort of retro paint job on it, and I've never done anything like that. So from filling seams to prepping for paint, the processing and layering of the paint, to how you get that polished finish like a car body would be awesome to hear your insights in. Really keen to find out what steps you use to get that sort of a finish, because I've never done anything like it before, but I really reckon that rocket would look cool with some sort of retro glossy finish on it. So I want to take the right steps and approach it in the right mindset. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, as always. Thanks, guys.
First of all, what a cool looking ship! Like seriously, that just looks awesome.
In red, it reminds me of the Tintin spaceship. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's very like sort of 60s,
the red
like
and white,
atom punk kind of thing, right?
Oh, that is so cool. Like,
I've seen this model, and I cannot believe they haven't actually purchased it myself yet. So
really?
Yeah.
So this was an actual thing in concept, or this is a totally make-believe?
No. I don't think it. No, it certainly wasn't a paper rocket. Yeah, I think it was just something that's just been whimsically sort of designed and built. So it's a rocket body with a traditional aircraft
bubble canopy
for two pilots, or astronauts I should say, and it's got 4 additional rockets sort of strapped around the side of it, much like the sort of thing you draw as a 12-year-old kid if you're going to draw a rocket.
Yeah,
so
it is so cool.
So how to tackle to get a really sort of good finish to it?
If you're going to do like a glossy car type finish, then you can't use any lacquer-based putty.
Well, but for the listeners out there, we're looking at a picture of this model, so I've just described it, but it's in your sort of traditional sort of Apollo-style rocket, white with sort of black sort of highlights.
He may not choose to go white.
Yeah, he wants to do like a automotive red.
Maybe.
Oh. So, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, but like you said, like it's equal parts so many other genres and things. So, like, he would defer to your advice when it comes to removing seam lines, and he would defer to my advice when it comes to painting a glossy finish.
Well, the seam lines are fairly. Not having seen this kit, I don't know how bad they are, but I just go back to the tried and true method of removing seam lines. So one way I do it on rockets in particular is that I'll get some stock rod, generally a small size. It's
you like the evergreen?
Evergreen, thank you, evergreen stock. And I'll sand down the seam as much as possible. And if the seam's not cooperating, I'll actually get this stock rod. It's only small, I can't even think of the size of it now, but it's enough to sort of like fill a gap. And I'll glue it down into the seam, really flood it with Tamiya extra thin, so you're melting it into it. And
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and then...
So what do you use, like round, or you use
just
square?
Use round stock.
Because I was thinking if you use like square stock, the really, really thin, tiny square stock, you basically just carve a V.
Yeah, you could do that too. And
so you may have to like widen it a little, the seam, widen it a little bit to let it sit in better. Yeah.
But this stock is so thin is that as you're applying the Tamiya extra thin, it's melting it. And I'll then get like a little spatula or something and actually press it down, and the plastic deforms into the seam line.
Yep, and it's just a matter of just cleaning it off.
Yeah, let it dry, come back, and then sand it off. And because it's also styrene, it's going to sand. It sands really, really well.
Yeah,
and I found that as a great way of eliminating really persistent seams that you can't get rid of by
that way
using
you're not going to get
methods.
like using putties. You're not going to end up with ghost seams like 6 months down the track.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so
that's a good idea.
That's worked really well.
I never thought of that myself.
Because you're not a rocket builder like me.
No, well that's right.
I'm not a rocket man.
So that's the way I'd recommend getting rid of the persistent seams. If it's just a minor seam, then you just tackle it as you normally would as an aircraft or a submarine, you know, and just give it a good buff and maybe put a little bit of Tamiya putty on there and to sort of knock off some of those bits. But if it's persistently difficult, and more so if you're using like a bare metal finish, you got to make sure that seam completely disappears.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
don't,
It's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
100%. So, yeah, that's where I'd go.
As-
Moving on to the painting.
As
of
for
it.
the paint, if you're doing it red, I would suggest either a pink or white base beneath your red layer.
Oh, yeah, because red and yellow are the worst colours for coverage.
Yeah.
So is white.
White's better than red or yellow.
Yeah, but if you do white, you won't need much red.
Okay.
Because red is like a tint, and if you've got a white base underneath it, like as long as your white is consistent,
Yep.
which is easier to troubleshoot than red, because you'll just pile on and just hose red on, and it just won't do much at all.
Do you know I have had some success with in regards to white? Is actually to me a rattle canned white, and spraying that on, and then coming back and sort of just knocking it down with let's say a 1000 or 1200.
Yeah.
1200 grit
maybe.
sand.
If you
Whenever I've done white, I've always just used like a flat white base, couple of coats of flat white.
There are
and then
some-
throwing some gloss white over the top.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah, there are some white primers out there, and they tend to have better coverage
Yes.
than white paints.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So
What's that primer that we all use?
What?
Mr.
Servicer?
Mr. Servicer.
Yeah, Mr. Service comes in white.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as opaque
No.
as the black and grey and all that sort of stuff, but
Or the mahogany.
it's still a primer one, and you'll have more success getting good coverage and surface, 100% service white using that than you would an actual white paint most of the time. Anyway, that said,
Yep.
red paint on, clear gloss on. I suggest you pick something that's
You sand in between coats, Julian?
I'm not going to sand the red, no, because a lot of paints don't.
But you'd sand the white base coat though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I would not sand the paint, the red coat, because a lot of those tend to act weird when you start cutting into it with polishing.
Yeah.
Well, if you do a light sand like you get those really, really super fine, like the 1/4000 sort of grit sort of nut.
Yeah,
You're saying
I'd
no?
still rather not, because some of them behave odd. Like they'll once you start cutting into them with polishing and stuff, they change in color, almost like it's like they're not the same color all the way through that paint layer.
Wow.
And you can also, if you don't get it perfectly squared away, you can see sometimes the fine scratches that you put in it from the polishing.
Even if you're using
through the clear coat.
But even if you're using something as fine as 1/4000 grit.
Yeah.
Really?
I've seen stuff like that, yeah. I've had it happen on some, and then you've gone past that, you've gone through your clear layer, and you're like, I've polished the bejesus out of this clear coat.
Yeah.
How come I can still see scratches through it? And that's why it's down there in the paint layer. It's not in the clear coat.
All right, so if you put the clear coat on top and you polish that,
Yes.
what's your polishing regime for that?
I like to use the polishing cloths that Tamiya and Guns and them like to sell. You can get them in like 6,000. I would go like 6,000 grit, then 8,000 grit, and then for my car finishes, which is a stock car finish, out of the factory, which is never that perfect anyway.
That's right. Yeah, they're usually from the factory back then.
I'll
they
just
use
go
orange
straight
peel
from there to using the Tamiya finishing compound, and just polish that the rest of the way. Otherwise,
so 6,000 grit first.
yeah, wet, because it's a cloth, right?
Yep.
You can wet it. So
Do you put like a dish soap in your water when you're sanding?
no, I should try that.
Okay.
Because that gives a more slippery finish
So
when you're sanding. And you'll find
Yeah.
your sandpaper. The worst thing is when you're sanding it and all of a sudden the sandpaper, it sticks, it
it's,
catches.
it's funny you should say that, because when I'm doing my rockets and I'm doing a wet sand, I'll do it over a running tap.
Oh,
and
really?
I do put some soft soap in there, and it makes
it slippery.
It makes it really slippery. And I don't do some hand actions because it look rude. But
I was going to say, I could just imagine
I'm-
Michelle walking in as Dave's sanding a rocket and going, Dave.
She has. I tell you, she has. It was freaking hilarious.
It's not what you think it is.
No, but you do an up and down sort of motion and sort of oh gosh,
It's doing the
it
hand
sounds-
motions. I can't watch.
All right, imagine you're churning butter in a.
All right, let's just stop. All right.
No, it's just serious how I do it, and with a bit of soap, it really sort of goes over it a lot. Oh God, I promise you.
Don't
you
look
guys,
me in the eye when you're
I'm-
doing
I'm-
that. All right.
I promise you that I am being 100% honest. This is how I do my rockets.
Well, look at Ian. He's crying.
But I do.
This is just deteriorated.
But I do. Oh, fuck. Root tingles really swollen.
Anyway, look, 6,000 grit is what I start with, then 8,000, and then I'll polish it the rest of it. But if you really want that glassy
But I'm
look,
confused. You've said using the polishing compound when you get to the 8,000. What do you put the polishing compound on with, and what do you rub it off with?
So I have a cloth, and it's just
It's just a cloth.
It's one of the I bought a polishing cloth because I wanted to see if there was anything to it, and that's the ones that that I think it's Guns.
Oh, I know the one. You've got one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they all each of those sort of Japanese brands will sell their own cloth type thing. It's just a cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's a very softish cloth.
yeah, well, yeah, and then I throw it in the wash every so often because
Yeah,
it just,
you have
just
to get rid of the hard sections.
yeah, because after you've used a part of it to polish, like all the compound just sticks in it and just goes dry and turns into powder.
You can wash your cloth afterwards, though.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
he said.
That's
Yeah.
what I said. I just throw it in the wash. Yeah.
You know what? You know those sanding sponges that you buy? I even wash them, and I've found that you can reuse them time and time again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an idea.
So, rather than
that
sort of
idea.
washing and throwing
But
away.
I was thinking, like, with the, I don't know about red, but I reckon that thing would look pretty cool in Planet Express green.
Oh, Planet Express.
Green, yeah.
Would you ever build a model of that thing?
Oh, in a flash.
Yeah.
In a flash.
I'm sure you can buy it like a
I'm
3D
pretty sure you
printed-
can, yeah. Yeah, in a flash. I love the Planet Express ship.
Gosh. Well, I hope that answered your question, and
Yes.
try it out, and please send us some pictures and let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
thanks very much for actually clicking the Steam Pipe link. Sorry,
And
Speak Pipe link, and leaving us a voice message.
yeah,
that was really cool.
Send
Yeah.
photos, but if you send us any videos, those are getting deleted straight away.
What?
Oh, especially if they're sanding ones.
You idiots. All right. Okay, so if you want to send us an email, you can write into us. Our email address is onthebench64@gmail.com. And in the comments link in the show notes, there is the link for SpeakPipe. Please leave us a message. We love hearing. We'd love to hear your voice and what messages you got for us as well.
Very true.
All right. Before we get on and have a chat with our two different interview guests we're coming up, which is James Skiffins talking about 48 scale model challenge.
Not the 48
No,
scale,
it's 48
hour.
48 hour, you idiot, Dave. 48 hour build
Yes.
for,
Models for Heroes.
thank you. And then we're going to be having a chat with Duncan Young, who is the Vice President of IPMS Hamilton and also Chief Judge of HeritageCON.
Yes.
It's really cool. But let's find out who this week's winner.
And what are they
of
winning?
They're going to get a one of our exclusive on the bench challenge coins.
Oh, geez. Giving them away quickly.
Oh, we am indeed. So we'll have to. They're being proven to be quite popular. All right, and this winner for the coin is Alexander Fernandez.
Hey, well done, Alexander.
So I'll be sending you an email, Alexander, and getting organised to get that coin out to you very soon. All right, have a very, very, very short break, and we'll come back and have a talk to James Skiffins. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. James Skiffins from a particular podcast. How are you, mate?
I'm doing really well, thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very grateful. It's nice to be down under and up the right way.
So tell us, you've had your pipes cleaned and your whistle checked, and that's all working fine now?
Wow, I didn't think the camera was on for that, Dave. I'm very sorry. Health-wise, all good. I was told, the surgeon told me I have a heart of a 17-year-old now that they've basically rewired it and replumbed it. And luckily there was no moments where the plumber said I've got to go out for parts. So, it was all good.
Well, at least they're able to fix that. Pity they couldn't do anything about your looks, but that's perhaps another surgery.
That's the surgery too far, I'm afraid. As the surgeon said, we can fix your heart, but that's just taking the piss.
Oh dear! Tell us, how's our good friend Malcolm? Is he travelling well? I've haven't listened to your last episode, but I've been listening to all the others, and you guys have been sort of chuffing along, which is good.
Yeah, we're as always, with our podcast, the Just Spoken Conversation was always done as we'll do it when we can, when we've got time, and when it fits in around everything else that we're juggling. So luckily our listeners are either that very bored waiting for us to drop an episode, or pity us, one or the other. But we're popping some out. Our last one was a conversation with somebody that was inspired both of us to start the podcast, which was Graham Pearson from the Bottle Shed, was it? I think it was called something.
Yeah,
like
that's right. That used to be a good podcast, actually.
It was. It was. And it was a real shame that they stopped. I think they did 8 episodes, issued 7 of them or something like that. I can't remember. But that was the reason that me and Malcolm picked up the mic, so to speak. So they dropped it on the floor, and everyone left. We snuck in the building and stole it. So, it was good to get him on. Graham's gone through quite a few bits and pieces over the last year or more, and he's been away from the modelling. He's been doing other hobbies and stuff. Something to do about catching fishes or something like that. Weird.
Going to the fly fishing.
It's just. Yeah, it's a little bit just below railway modelling.
And golf. Golf's somewhere down at the bottom of that ladder too, I think.
Golf. No, that's a whole different podcast, golf. That's just for doctors and accountants, I believe.
Yes.
We're slowly getting back into a pattern. Obviously, my health had taken a bit of a turn. Although to be honest, we were more prolific recording while I was sat in a hospital bed than I was previously, which is quite bizarre, really. But it was good. It was quite funny actually doing a live from the hospital with nurses coming in. Yeah, I don't think you ever saw it, but a good couple of times a nurse come in to do with blood pressure and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, you know who I am? I'm recording. Oh, okay then. The podcast is going well. We got some things planned for the coming weeks. Obviously, the Mooseroo build is thundering on. I know you guys have really pulled out the bucket on your build.
Well, I don't know. We look at Julian because he actually he posted something the other day on our Facebook page,
which was good to see.
Because at least now we've got physical proof that there is some movement at the station.
It's there. It's moving along. Like most of the constructions come. Most of the construction's done.
Well, I'm glad the construction's done because you got until March.
Yeah, and this is the end of January.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, it's the start of Feb today.
It is.
You got ages.
Yeah, he's got a month.
But
He's
I mean,
got 4
You got
weeks.
ages.
4 or 5 weeks.
well, in any case, let's not dwell on my
Lack of progress.
It's
No, I reckon he's doing all right. Once the painting's done, it's
It's all right. It's my
Hey, look,
turn.
I'm gonna.
It's my turn
I'm gonna
next
take the
year, so
pressure
these
off you.
guys can rib the hell out of me next year.
and don't worry, we will.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody will. I know. I think it's my turn next year as well. So, yeah, we can struggle together, Dave. Julian, I'll take the pressure off you because obviously it's a complicated kit. There's 2 submarines to start with. You've got to make a choice, or build both, or
well, I
don't,
had to
as the case may
complicate
be.
things by adding extra elements. Well, sort of.
oh, you've done a Malcolm, have you?
No, I just put it on a trailer. That's all. It's not a complicated trailer, but I mean, it's just a trailer.
And a backdrop.
It's also not
Okay.
it's also not the right trailer, but it'll do. I mean, it depends on like how into those sort of things. Like, oh no, those weren't on those trailers, and whatever.
See, the thing is, we haven't won for the last 5 years,
Yeah.
which is we won the first 2 years. No, I think we've been going for 6 years. So we won the first 2 years, and the last 4 we haven't. So
Yeah.
I
was responsible for one of those wins.
and he was responsible for the other win.
Yeah, so he's the weak link now.
The problem is that I opened it up to all the other podcasts. I should have just kept it between Stuart and myself, and we would have always won then.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm taking the pressure off of Julian. Malcolm is struggling at the moment. He's coming to a very particular, complicated stage of his build, and obviously, I don't know what I'm sure your colleagues do this for you as well, Julian, right? But I mean, I went and bought the kit myself to build along with Malcolm to like help him and gym along and all that. Well, I finished mine. I've been finished for months.
So
But,
Malcolm's at
anyway.
that complicated stage where he's got to glue the 2 halves together. Is that right?
If I'm honest, I think the complicated stage for Malcolm is knowing which end of the thing the propellers go on.
Which end of the box to open?
I don't mind telling you this. It's between us, right? No one will know.
No one will know.
But I'm aware that he has stuck the propellers on the wrong end of both the torpedo and the submarine itself. But anyway, it's the right way up, so who's gonna know, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, he had hoped actually to get it built and sent over to the guys in Canada, but he was really hoping that someone that was going there would take it with them rather than we relied on the British Post. But no one volunteered, so he's taken the foot off the gas a little bit. But as I understand it, talking to him literally an hour or more ago, he was explaining to me that this weekend was the big weekend where he poured some resin, and that's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay,
Ooh.
all right.
There
Very
we go.
exciting.
Sounds good.
So we got something else big coming up very soon, and that is the Model Officer's 48-hour build, and the actual reason for getting you on the show. And this has been something we've been a part of ever since it kicked off. Ian's taken the lead on this again this year. Ian, you're doing the lead this year for us?
Since I've got a 1 foot by 1 foot workspace at the moment, whatever I work on is going to be very small.
Yeah, but you're going to help with the Aussie contingent and doing the hosting and that.
Yep.
And there's quite a few other sort of well-known Aussies are sort of going to be on that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, we have. So, just in case your listeners aren't aware of this, this is an annual event we do. I'm proud to say it's a global event with the help of people like yourself, our esteemed colleagues over in America and Canada and numerous other places. But the host for this year in our Australian or Australasian, shall I say, we've obviously got the lovely Ian. We've got Steph's going to join you from the UK. It's just because we can't stand having him in our room, so we've sent him over to you. I don't mean that, obviously. We've got the lovely John Marley. He's going to be helping.
John's a
Callum
good egg.
Parker.
Yeah. Callum, yep.
Yep.
Callum's going to be there, and Craig as well. So there is 5 people involved in the hosting of the Australasia section, which is fantastic. I do have, funny enough, I do have other volunteers that haven't been able to get onto their slots this year, but yeah, it's raking up to be quite an exciting event again. This is our 8th year now. We've got so the big changes for this year is
before we talk about the changes and everything, how about we take a step back and actually explain for somebody who hasn't heard of this before exactly what the 48-hour build is and who it benefits.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I should have done it. You're right. So the whole point of this thing is that I run a Facebook group called the Model Officers Mess. It's their birthday, and every year we do an event where we raise a bit of money for a charity. The charity of choice is Models for Heroes, and Models for Heroes is a UK-based charity that supports veterans and serving members of the armed forces as well as the civil services through the joy of doing model making to help with anxiety and PTSD and other mental health issues. Malcolm Childs, obviously my co-host for Just Making Conversation, is the big boss, but we take a massive delight in raising as much as we can for them. And the purpose of the event is really simple. So what we do is we get people to sign up through the Facebook group and another way which I'll explain later. But the whole idea is on the 14th of March, on the Friday, at 7:30, you gather around your internet or television screen and you pick a model for you to build over a 48-hour period. Now, originally it was a 1/48 kit, but we have opened that up to basically any kit, any model of any description. So that could be a book nook, it can be a 1/16 Sherman if you want to be really crazy,
exactly.
A 1/48 seaplane or something. You know, it could be anything whatsoever. And the purpose is for you to enjoy the event, get involved with the community, as much time as you can over the 48 hours. We do insist that you sleep and you eat and you don't upset any of your loved ones. That's very, very important. And you look after yourself throughout the whole event. And we'll remind you to get up, go and walk around, have a dance, have a cup of coffee, etc., all the way through the event. And the hosts are really, really good at doing that. Why is it global? Well, we've got people like yourselves that have got involved. And we have now got a scenario where not only do we do a live stream on the YouTube channel, which is the Model Officer YouTube channel, but it is hosted by lots of people in lots of different time zones. And that's where, as I reflect back to what I just said, it starts at 8 o'clock on the 14th of March in your time zone, wherever you are in the world. So yeah, that's the event in a nutshell. I think I got that all.
And while the event's playing and people are building and watching and listening in, there's also the opportunity for people to have a crack at grabbing some really great giveaways and vote. What do? You bid for some fantastic kits and stuff like that. And some of the stuff that comes up is absolutely A1 top shelf sort of stuff that comes up for bidding. And sometimes you get it for a real sort of scream as well. Yeah.
You can do, yeah. I mean, we've been doing the auction for a number of years, and we're really, really fortunate with our donors. So we have, I can tell you what we had last year, for example. So we had the likes of Airfix, AK, Revell. So guys that you would know would be Hobbies Australia. We also had Hobbies, Model and Hobbies for You,
SMS, Scale Model Supplies,
Metro Hobbies. They're the Australian guys that really have helped us out. SMS as well, obviously. So Scale Model Supplies. But then obviously across the UK and in America, we've got loads of people coming out of the woodwork. So we've got the likes of furball, air decals. We've got bases by Bill, Andy, Hobby Headquarters, Tamiya, Value Gear. The list goes on and on and on. So we're really, really fortunate. And yes, I have to say that obviously we do 3 lots of auctions. So we do one in Australasia or Australia, one in the UK, which we haven't found out the winning bids to Europe, and then we've obviously got America, stroke Canada. Now the idea of the auction is you basically bid what you wish to bid. I mean, if you want a 1/72 kit that you really, really want, and you want to spend $300 on it, thank you very much. That's up to you.
And of course, all proceeds go directly to Models for Heroes. So there's nothing sort of taken aside,
right.
no cuts or anything like that. And
No. So that's completely right. And also with the auction lots, we charge the auction winner a postage amount. So they pay for the postage as well. We ask people that are in obviously different countries not to bid on things that are not in their country, because obviously there is the cost element of sending.
But
it
can
over.
they, if they're happy to pay the postage, can they bid on something in another?
If they want to,
there you go.
Yep. If they want to, it's not a problem.
Yep.
What we found in the past is certainly in Australia, some people from the States have bid on things, paid the extra postage, but the donators will also donate an amount which would have been the local postage within their region.
Yeah.
So they help that way too, which is phenomenal. But yeah, the postage is always paid by the winner of the auction. And then everything that's left, there is no administration costs. Never has been. And that's all donated. All the money that's raised is donated over to Models for Heroes. So we're very, very lucky. We have raised a phenomenal amount of money through the auctions. And I mean, you don't even have to go through the auctions. If you want to just donate, there is a Just Giving page, and you can drop a buck or two or whatever you feel you can afford to support it.
Yep. And so you can, at the end of the 48 hours, hopefully, if you've done well, you've got a finished model as well to show for it. You've had all these international guests that you've been able to watch and listen to and interact with as well, because you can send them messages and they read them out as they're going along. You got the opportunity to bid on some fantastic prizes, and
it's all going for a great cause.
All for a great cause, and and it's a lot of fun as well.
It is, yes.
It's amazing fun. The really amazing part about the whole event is it always staggers me every year how many people are contacting me 3 weeks after the event to ask when the next one is. Everyone wants to put it in their calendar. And I've got a really big favor to ask you guys. But I'll come back to that in a minute. In relation to this year, let me give you a little bit of an insight as to our preparations for this year, because I think it's really important that we go through this. So I got told off several years ago that I used to do it all by myself, and my very close friends and volunteers wanted to help, and hence why we've got the likes of Ian and lots of hosts around everywhere. So we have Steph, who is based in the UK. He looks after the Australian and the UK auction. And he literally this year has done everything. So he's contacted all the donors. He's gone scouting for new donors, talking to the old donors, asking their feedback as to what we did right, what we did wrong, what we could do better. We've got Carl, who is our designer, if you like. So he's designed all the merch that we do to go along with the event. He's a good lady. It sorts out the timetable, because I can't understand how to take hours away and add hours.
I have the same problem, yes.
And then I do Steve as well. So Steve does a lot of the media bits and pieces. I did last year, and then myself. So there's the 5 of us that mainly do it. So we've actually been working on this year's event since about June of last year. We started, not in any big way. but we did start the process, and we've been throwing out feelers and emails and stuff for quite some time, talking to donors and stuff. So this year, I'm really, really pleased to say that what's going to be different is, certainly in the UK, we have a phenomenal amount of new donors. So the amount of stuff in the auction has doubled, roughly.
Wow.
And that's literally just the donors. So that's not telling you how many things have been donated by the donors. And some of them have been incredibly generous. So we're very fortunate with that. In Australia, which is where I need your help and your listeners' help, we have some amazing donors, and I've spoken to them the last 2 years running, what we've done wrong and what we've done right, because we've done some things wrong along the way, but we've sorted all that out. But they are, I think you probably will know more than I do, but there seems to be generally across the hobby quite a lot of people struggling for events, sponsors and all that sort of stuff. And they're struggling. So we really need an awful lot of people in Australasia, so Australia and New Zealand and anywhere down that way, who are interested in this event to sign up and get involved, because we really, really want to increase the amount of people that are being involved in the community in that region. We're very fortunate in that we have quite a large amount of people get involved in America and Canada, and we've got quite a good showing from UK, which is both bolstered by the Netherlands and Sweden and Germany and loads of other places that I can't remember off the top of my head. But we really need to boost that Australasia section. So I don't know as of yet exactly what we've certainly got some auction lots. I'm not quite sure what we've got. But speaking to the donors, they're all trying their best because they're also trying to support the hobby down that way too. So we need to help them as much as we can, really. And then the last thing, of course, one of the most exciting parts about this is obviously someone's been laid up in bed doing nothing for several months. So I've had the opportunity to think about a few bits and pieces. And so I run a business, and my business has now sponsored a web page for the event for the next 5 years. That's all bought and paid for. The website is all the W's, obviously, 44-44.org. And on that website will now be all of our hosts, all of our timetables, all of our donors, all of our merch, how to donate, the social interaction, how you can get involved, everything's going to be on that web page forever. And one of the best things about doing it that way is all of our donors will now get a year's advertising on that web page. And what we're going to try and make sure we do is we're going to make sure we put a link on their logo. So every single person that donates will have a link on there, so you can click on their link to take you direct to their business. Now, obviously, a big company like Airfix, that would be helpful for some parts of the countries around the world, but not in all. But certainly the more local and smaller businesses, like in America, for example, Bases by Bill and all that sort of stuff, you can click on their products, and they might have talked about something in which you've gone, oh, that sounds really interesting. You want a bit more info, so we're going to support them that way for the whole year, and then also everybody that gets involved, and that this includes everybody that doesn't finish, because you don't have to finish. You just have to start a brand new kit, untouched, for that 48 hours, and then post a picture at the end of the 48 hours of your progress you made. Your picture will also be up on that website in the album section for 12 months too.
Fantastic.
That's a way of saying thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we can certainly help out with the spreading the word through our social media here in Australia. So we'll push that message out through all of our friends throughout the country, and hopefully that'll help sort of boost the numbers coming into the event. So we'll do that for you. And
You're amazing.
I'll actually talk to you offline about another sort of, we're going to also help out with the auction as well in a special way. So I'll talk to you offline about that. And
Wonderful.
We can move forward on that. So if anybody goes to, you can go to www.48- this is in numerals, 48-48.org. And on that, there is a countdown already, which is ticking down and showing 41 days, 21 hours, 1 minute, and 20 seconds before it starts on March the 14th. And there's a little area where you can sign up. You're not asked to pay anything. It's just signing up so you can be part of the fantastic event. And we're certainly, I know Ian's certainly excited about
I love it.
Being on.
I've had a ball
the
last 3 years I've been doing it.
Yeah. And you get to meet a whole host of
and
people.
interact
some of
with
our
them.
listeners even who listen to this show sort of pop on and talk and interact with you.
Yep.
And some of the builds, we had it like, I'm just thinking some of the builds we've seen over the last couple of years. So one of our listeners from New Zealand, I think it is, he did a Chinook, a 48 scale Chinook, and he was doing it as a firefighting one. And he did a great job in the time, but it was just... It was just very amusing to sort of, follow along and watch these builds. Remember, I did a 48 scale P47 in natural metal.
Yep.
And I got a big thumbprint on the side.
Yeah.
Funny, I just chucked that model out about 2 months ago.
There you
I was
go.
sick of looking at the thumbprint. So into the bin it went.
It's really... it's really funny, so on that webpage right now, there is the 2024 participants. They're up there. Everyone that I could get on there. But you've got space, you've got military, you've got civilian, you've just got all sorts of stuff. You even got Lego on there. There was a book nook, I think, last year as well. It's just a whole multitude of things that go on, and some of the builds. I mean, there was one particular one by Mikey in the UK who did I can't remember the actual. It was a tank, but I can't remember the actual make of tank. But he did it as it was firing, so it got the
I remember that one
visual effect with lighting, etc. The Dutch do like a bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
They like to build a model with sound and with lights. They just go a bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, what we did also is we did, for a bit of fun, we decided to pick a particular kit, which some of us did, which was the 116th. Was it 116th?
I think it was 124, wasn't it?
124th,
Yes.
yeah. It was a 124th mini art tractor we did. Which was great fun. There wasn't a lot of parts to it, and it was really good to see how everybody, how their mindset went. So, it's just good fun. One thing I must say, actually, I'm not sure if you know this, guys, but what we did say last year is what we do is we would pick a kit like we did last year, but we'd pick a couple of kits and allow you guys, the modelers, to choose either one of them out of the box, or if you really want to be super crazy, and there's loads of points on offer. They don't make prizes, but there's loads of points on offer. You can either do one of these two kits out of the box, or you can do a kit bash. And by kit bash, all I mean is if you've got some of these parts in your bits box, that'll do. And the kits of choice this year are the 148th Supermarine Spitfire from Airfix, Anymark, and the Tamiya 148th Sherman Anymark.
Okay.
So if you've got that in your stash, grab that and you can build it out of the box, or go down to your local hobby store and buy it for the event. But yeah, that's a little bit extra challenge, open to anybody. But it is really, I must say this to everybody, it is really about the kit choice that makes it either hard or easy. So and as I say, you don't have to finish it, so don't get stressed.
Very good.
Just enjoy the event.
Yeah.
And that we do. All I do anyway.
Yeah. So again, for everybody who's listening, www.48-48.org. Go and sign up now. for the Australasian side of things, you've got our very own Ian, who's going to be hosting, Steve Knightley, John Marley, Callum Parker. We're going to have got to wind him up about his win.
Actually, Dave, it's Steph.
Steph, what did I say?
Steve.
Oh, Steph. Sorry, Steph. And our good mate Craig Everton as well. So, and they'll be hosting the Australasian leg of it. Go to the website, sign up. It's a real cracker of a weekend, and you're going to have a load of fun. And don't forget, while you're there checking out the webpage, have a quick look at the merch section as well, because there's some really cool stuff there.
Yeah, I like that.
You get a hoodie or a light sweater, or you can get a bucket hat, or even a mug, or better yet, just a pin badge where it says I took part in 48. So you have bragging rights at the next model show, or even at your local club.
Yes.
There you go.
Be there or be square.
Exactly right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mate, it's been wonderful to have you on. You got any sort of last minute things that you want to mention before we wrap it up?
No, I just remind everybody, obviously 48-48.org is the website. The merch is there. It's all done by Redbubble. So it will be produced locally within your country. We don't get an awful lot from it, but it'd be good to see it around the world. It's a great event. Please enjoy it. And one of the other things in which I haven't mentioned is, of course, our Friends for Models for Heroes, which is a IPMS group in the UK, will also be having their Discord group open for the whole 48 hours as well.
Yes.
Which actually turns out to be about 72 hours once you include all the different times of those. So, yeah, go onto the web page. That'll tell you the time table in your country. We've done it really simple this year. You click on the area that you're looking in. It'll have a time zone, and it'll all be listed right from the beginning, from the guys in Australia kicking off to the guys in America, ending it all with us people in the UK in the middle, like the good filling of a good sandwich.
Yes. Very true.
James, thanks for being on the show. And don't forget to check out, I believe you got a silly little thing that you and Malcolm do together. What's that called, that podcast?
Oh, the Just Making Conversation
That's the
podcast.
one.
You mean?
Give it a
come
listen.
and check us out. Yeah. We're not the usual podcast. We're all about having a bit of fun. And the main reason for that is that we're absolutely expertise in nothing. So we talk a load of beep, 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 and a beep. And it's all about sprue and glue. So, yeah, come and see us.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
No worries at all. Thanks, mate. That was a great interview with James, and I'm excited for this one coming up this year.
Oh, definitely.
And we're going to be announcing at our next show what On the Bench is actually contributing as a for the
It's a pretty cool idea too.
that you can bid for and hope and win. And of course, you're going to be on there, Ian.
Yep.
So if people want to see your lovely smiling face, simply
Well,
go
I
along
see the
and-
side of my head while I'm concentrating.
No, it's really a wonderful and fantastic event.
Yep.
And I promise you'll have a load of fun if you go and sign up and contribute.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a chat now with Duncan Young from Hamilton IPMS about HeritageCON 17. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Duncan Young, who's here to chat about HeritageCON 2025, which is the IPMS Hamilton Modelers Club show, established back in 2006. And g'day, Duncan.
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Very good, thanks, mate. How's things over there?
Well, it's winter, as we're just chatting about. But yeah, it's we're actually having a winter here in Canada, and it's typical Canadian fashion. We can talk about the weather for the next hour, but I'm sure folks would be more interested in hearing about scale models and what's coming down the pipeline for HeritageCON this year.
Well, absolutely. So let's have a bit of it for those who perhaps are living under a rock and don't know what HeritageCON is. Perhaps you can just give us some cliff notes about exactly what it is.
Sure. So HeritageCON is, yeah, as you mentioned, established 2006, relatively small show at the time, by some folks who were volunteers and employees at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum in Hamilton, Ontario, right beside the Hamilton International Airport. I actually joined the club for the first time in 2009 and participated in HeritageCON at, it would be HeritageCON 3. And to give some folks sort of a scale of how things have changed over, say, the last 20, well, 19 years, I think we had the museum didn't close. It was a normal business day for the museum, and we were just given, a bit of space off to the side, set up. I think we might have had 8 to 10 tables with models on them, and then a few vendors who were there. Maybe there was like 50 to 60, maybe 100 models were on the table that day. I remember helping judge armor, is maybe 2 8-foot tables. Skip ahead to the last, particularly post-COVID, and we'll get anywhere from 800 to 1,200 models come in the door. We have 130 vendor tables, close to 3,000 people come through the museum on a show day, and it's actually turned into, in terms of like a special event. The museum has various events and different things over the year. It's the biggest one-day event that the museum now holds for their whole calendar year. So that's, they'll have multi-day trade shows and other things, and those are different when you have 4 days of a home show. But they'll have 3,000 people come through that museum, or 2,500. That's a pretty big deal. So just see how things have changed over the last 19 years. The show this year is March 23rd, 2025. It's a Sunday. It's always been a Sunday. It just seems it's sort of the best day that works for the museum. Doors open at 9. Usually it's a flurry of people running for the vendors, as it often is. But and then the competition judging and things happen in the afternoon, and then we try to wrap up between 4:30. It's a fairly long day for folks, and they want to head home after that point. So yeah, it'll be a good day.
It will. And it's obviously picked up. Because I know that our friends from Plastic Model Mojo, they're actually heading up all the way from Kentucky.
Correct.
Which is a heck of a long drive. Some of the guys
it's about
from
8 to 9 hours for them to make. It's a full day of driving each way. Yeah.
Some of the guys from the Geeks are heading up as well, and so it attracts a lot of people from the lower 48 states, as well as from Canada as well. And I'm just wondering, how do you fit everybody in one day? I mean, that's a heck of a.
It's. We'll often have people after, we'll go for dinner or even on the Saturday night, it's like, it should be 2 days. And we've talked about that. So how do we get people through? So I think the benefit of being in Hamilton, and for people, if they want to Google where that is and look on a map, you can be to Buffalo, which is the other side of the border from Niagara Falls, in less than an hour and a half with good weather. The whole Toronto area is, that's millions of people. It's like a Melbourne, right? It's the largest populated center in all of Canada. So you can really pull, just in the greater Toronto, Hamilton, and surrounding area, within a couple hour drive, you can pull a large amount of people. But then we've got people who are making, the trip. They're either driving 2 or 3 hours from farther afield for the day. It's relatively easy to do, or they're coming farther. As you say, the Mojo guys talk about they're meeting folks from the Ottawa area, which is a 5 to 6 hour drive. So they're going to come in, have a weekend, spend a couple nights, and then go home. And then we'll even get people from Montreal. That's 6-7 hours. So I think it's really grown over the last I would say decade plus. Obviously with a bit of a pause during COVID, but I think being you can, if you're in the States, you can fly to Buffalo, and relatively cheap and inexpensive flights from all over the United States can get yourself to Buffalo. Easy rental car, you're up for the day, go back, stay where whether in the Hamilton area or surrounding, and you can really go from there. So I think we benefit from being relatively central, and you can grab a fair number of people within an easy drive, or a fairly sizable day trip, but it seems to be worth it for folks to make that drive. And I think, as we've seen, and I've heard you folks talk about the show in Melbourne and other places, ACT, if you're driving distances, and it's as much about, there's the show and buying vendor stuff, but it's the people that you might be only see once or twice a year, and you're hanging out with people
that's
right?
it, and that's the thing that sort of certainly attracts me just as much as the fact that there's models and that it's everybody I'm catching up with who I haven't seen for a year, and Canberra in particular sort of is a big standout for us because we go up on the Friday, so we've got the Friday night, the Saturday night, and we even stay over for the Sunday night. So we've got 3 nights of going to some great pubs and catching up and just talking with mates who you haven't seen for 12 months. And you're just talking models, and you're talking, usual stuff when a group of guys like-minded sort of get together. And it's just such a great sort of social event above and beyond the joy of seeing all the models on the table.
I would echo that. Like, HeritageCON, for those on the team and the volunteers, it's the show is not really for us, right? It kind of it's a lot of work. It comes and goes in a blur, and maybe you have a little bit of time to go quickly browse the vendors and then get back to whatever task that you're assigned, either the morning or the afternoon. But then when I go, so I'm an armor builder. I've joined AMPS. I've been to the AMPS Nationals a couple of years. I've been to the IPMS Nationals a few times now. And it is like, it's going out for dinner afterwards, after a day. It's going to see folks that you maybe haven't seen for 6 months. Or what's been more interesting is meeting people at one show, and that's that community aspect. And then you're ending up, say, like this year in Wisconsin, and someone you saw in Indiana or Pennsylvania at AMPS last year is also at the IPMS Nationals, and people are, this merry band of scale modelers running around places to just hang out, and maybe that's an output of being tied into your basement for multiple years and wanting to get out and do these things and go to the shows, as whether you bring anything to put on the table or not. It's the ability to see people. You're participating in the hobby in a different way, perhaps.
Exactly right.
As much as gluing plastic and painting things. So yeah.
And my good friend Alan Murrell, who shared a card ride with back from IPMS last year. Great guy. I was actually talking to him about the potential for sort of pushing this out to 2 days, and it's really the museum that is sort of the limiting factor as to whether that can sort of go ahead. Are you still working towards looking for a 2-day show, given that people travel such large distances?
Yeah, it comes up every year. Even we've had a lot of feedback that if it even was moved to a Saturday, so that it's easier. Mike and Dave have mentioned this, it's easier to take a Friday off, right? And travel Friday, go to a show Saturday, and then wake up in a haze and stumble your way home on a Sunday. The challenge for the museum is they look at they spent a lot of time moving aircraft around and out of the facility. You've got to set up, and they're trying to balance if they were to have it on a Saturday, they're likely having to close on a Friday and lose a day of other, activities, school trips, things of that nature. The other piece is I think they see how big it is and how much the heavy lift it is, because there's the club volunteers. We're kind of managing the showpiece, right? And the judging and all that, but they have all their staff and volunteers who are doing parking, the food, the gift shop, the people taking tickets. Managing the parking on its own is a big effort. And so their view is, if they were to do this over 2 days, it's holy moly, that's a lot. I think as we continue, if people are always well, is this just a post-COVID blip, and this will peter back down over a couple of years? I hope not. I don't think so. It's always an active conversation. I think even just getting it to a Saturday, their worry is, well, if you move it to a Saturday, it's going to be even bigger. How can we handle that? Well, things like we're doing this year is we're pre-selling tickets online so that people can we can get a sense of like the big reason that we work with them to get that set up this year was because it allows them to sort of see how many people are coming. If by 3 days out they have sold 2,000 tickets, advanced tickets, at least like just pre-purchasing the admission fee. Well, okay, we need to plan that, even though there's people carpooling, it's going to be busy again, right? And then because you're still going to have people who are going to buy aren't going to take advantage of that and are going to buy their ticket when they show up the day of. So, I think it's a bit of, back to the original question, I think it's a bit of a worry and hesitation of like, what would 2 days of this look like? And we, of course, we could move venues to a convention type hall, but that defeats the purpose of it being ultimately a fundraiser and an event for the museum, not for the club. It would definitely lose its
and we need to sort of talk about that too. The museum, it's a wonderful museum. I've actually been there myself, and we need to make mention of the fact that it's got only one of the 2 flying Lancasters in the world. So the Lancaster you see there is not just a static display; she flies.
Well, 100%. So like we had our club meeting this past Wednesday, and so you're going in the museum and this is work season, right? All the maintenance is being done.
Yes.
And so there's a number of the planes are on display, but the Lancaster, like the wheel, it's all on blocks, on jacks. The wheels are off, the landing gear is taken off. So they've got panels taken off here. Like all this like work is going on,
which makes it even more interesting to go and look at, because how often you see an aircraft like that with all the bits stripped off on jacks? That's much more visually interesting in some respects than just seeing an aircraft with all its clothes on.
Well, exactly. Like, and I'm an armor guy, but like my son has come to this. He's 7 now, but he's been coming to this museum since he was 3, and there's always a couple of things he wants to go see there. But like he being able to get within like 2 feet of the tail turret, right? And my son's name is Griffin. Is like, imagine Griffin, you having to be like all balled up in the back there. Yeah. You think Dad could fit? He's like, no, you wouldn't fit. You couldn't fit. Like, I'm over 6 feet tall. Like I could not have fit back there, right? So, but yeah, it's interesting, just like just all of that for anyone who's into aircraft. And there's even like aircraft that are parked, almost year round outside, that when you're there in the summertime or the pleasant weather, they call it kind of their tarmac tour. Like you get taken out across the airfield to planes they're out parked outside permanently, and they can put you inside them and things like that. So yeah, I think, when we look at this show, the purpose of the show is not for IPMS Hamilton. We run this show to support the museum. All like the gate fee of which, so I'll just start putting some details. So it's a $20 out for adults, $15 for youth as the entry fee. That goes back to the museum. We've shifted this year from a contest standpoint. We used to collect sort of a per $2 or $3 per entry with no cap. This year we've just to again allow for it to be purchased directly through the museum in advance. We've set a $10 flat contest fee. So there's the entry fee to get into the museum, because you could come to the museum for the day and not go to the show, or at least not participate in the contest portion of the show. And that's always kind of amazing when you've got this family who just decided that Sunday was the Sunday they were going to come to the museum, and they stumble upon this massive what's going on. But we did shift this year to this $10 flat fee that goes to the museum. It always has. And so that's, if you bring 10 models, it's $10. You bring 20 models, it's $20. It's still $10. You bring 30, you empty your case, it's still $10. And, we have the data that says on average, most people bring, between 2 and 4 models on a given year. So it generally is going to work out for people, on par with what they would normally contribute as their entry fee. But yeah, like all of that goes right back to the museum. So,
now, Duncan, you wear 2 hats. You're not only the Vice President of IPMS Hamilton, but you're also the head judge as well. Do you want to step us through how you managed to get through so many models in, 8 hours?
Well, less than that. I'll run through the agenda for the day. Show opens at 9. We're going to hold registration open until 11:30. We are definitely encouraging people to please pre-register your entry. We've actually leveraging the same registration system, or a version of the same registration system that IPMS USA utilized at their nationals this past year. So we're very thankful for the support, the letting us adapt that registration system. So it's, pretty easy to like go in, create a user account. You can upload your models basically to or register your entries basically up to the night before, like the Saturday before the show. We will accommodate, at the day of, but you're going to have to wait in line and then wait in another line to go process that piece. So registration closes at 11:30. We have a judges meeting, sort of 11:30 till hopefully noon, just past noon. People can have a sandwich, and then we judge 90 categories, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 plus models. The goal is to be starting by noon, and basically judging has to be done by 2:30.
Wow.
So it's a lift. It's a heavy lift, and I think we do run on the traditional first, second, third. We've talked about going to more of an open gold, silver, bronze, and we could talk about that for a whole other topic. But
sure.
It does force the judges to you really, in that system and in that amount of time, you have to very quickly cut the wheat from the chaff, and just this is what catches their eye that day. Which are the top 5 standouts on the table, and that's hard because you get into some of those big categories like 148th aircraft, 172nd aircraft, 135th Armor, Allied or Axis. Like there's a lot of good stuff that comes in. And so it they do their best, and they're all volunteers, and really, like any show, it's trying to convince people to, can you please come help, because everyone would love to socialize more and things of that nature. But I can't say enough about having the people who do volunteer to be a category, like what I'd call a lead judge, like the lead ship judge. A lot of those folks have been doing it for a couple of years, and so they know how to, if they're given a little more greener crew of folks, to how to guide them through the judging of, say, ships or figures or aircraft even. And we move quickly. And my role, it was my first year doing it last year. I've judged before, but actually having to kind of steer that was just keeping the flow. Like, I need you to keep moving. Like, are you done those ones? Okay, here's your next. You got to go to the next category, because we need to be by 3:00 up at the podium announcing winners, because people want to go home. They're done.
Yeah,
they got to drive. They have to drive somewhere. They got to go home. They've been there since 9. They left at 7 in the morning. They've got kids, whatever. They want to go home, and so it's a big lift over. And that's where, to your comment before, if we could do bring your entries in on a Saturday, we judge Saturday night in a bit more of a controlled fashion, and then awards are at noon on a Sunday. 100% would be a lot more relaxed. Maybe we'd have the ability to do a gold, silver, bronze more feasibly. Hard to, all options eventually. So,
and of course, we also need to mention the star of the show, which is the Moosearoo Cup, which has been proudly sponsored by IPMS Hamilton as well, in conjunction with Lightspeed Global. And you guys are doing a fantastic job supporting that wonderful competition,
which is growing and growing every year.
Well,
yes, 100%.
We're growing within the podcast anyway. So, the important part is that Julian is doing ours this year, and happy to send you a couple of loonies to sort of maybe just nudge you in the right direction this time.
Well, I would. So first, given the exchange, we'll take only U.S. dollars. We'll take that to our advantage, because that'll net us like an extra 35 cents on the dollar. I'll be the poke, and you're gonna have to finish it though.
That's it.
Now, to your credit, I saw a post 2 days ago where everything was nicely laid out. There's a plan. So Julian, I hope you're planned. You got like 43 days to get done, like 42 to 43 days to be done.
Yeah, I can shuffle along pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not big, right? It's a 1/72nd scaled midget submarine. You just have to display it somehow.
That's what we keep telling him. We keep saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm not a sub person, so I've got to spend like
You build ships
for every. Yeah,
He's built a ship.
I can build a ship, but I don't typically build them. I'm more of a car guy these days, so
Yes.
like. Building anything that's not a car requires like a 5-to-1 amount of
effort.
Psyching up before I actually put hands on things. It's got to be in my field of vision, and then I got to sort of like think about it on and off for about a few hours before I go. I need to do something on that.
Get yourself psyched up.
Well, I also don't want to do a bad job, but
No, that's right.
at the same time, it's also I would these days I would consider it like outside of my wheelhouse, I suppose.
Sure. Well, and I think when we were given, so ICM, who has been the one who's given the kits the last couple of years, so I would say is as much it's IPMS Hamilton, Lightspeed, and like this year's, and also and ICM. Having distributed those kits around and things, it's like it's very small, but like okay, when we got that kit and said, okay, this is what we're giving out, I sort of looked at Alan and said, well, this can get banged out really quickly. So what's the curveball? And so the curveball we threw was, okay, you have to display it in a vignette, right? And whatever that means to you, like
exactly. I've never done anything like that before. The best I've done is like painted up the little round bases on 35 mil Warhammer figures, so
sure.
Some other incredible stuff to mention in regards to HeritageCON. So there's the incredibly stocked HeritageCON raffle table, which is always a huge success. There is a licensed restaurant on premises, and of course there's the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum's fantastic gift shop. So let's get to the real headline thing. When and where is the show this year?
So March 23rd, it's a Sunday, 2025, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum in Hamilton, Ontario. If the sort of caveat or the carrot that's been put out there this year is for those who are coming to the show, please, we encourage you to pre-purchase your entry ticket at a minimum, hopefully as well as your contest entry. For those who do pre-purchase their entry ticket by noon on Friday, March 21st, so it's the Friday before the show, your name will go into a draw. And the caveat here is you have to be 12 years old or older or over, because someone is going to win a flight in the C-47 Dakota that the museum operates as the incentive to pre-purchase your ticket, skip the line, get through the door quicker, and we'll be announcing who wins that flight at mid-afternoon at HeritageCON. But it's only if you've purchased your ticket by the noon on the March 21st gets you entered into that draw. And there is a hint that it's not just one seat on the Dakota, but it will be a pair.
Wow.
So you and a guest some point in 2025. Now this is the other thing. It will be during the 2025 flying season. So if you're coming up from the States or somewhere else in Canada, you'd probably be looking to make a return trip, but it's probably worth your while to come back in June, July, or August and get taken up for a pretty incredible flight. That's a D-Day veteran, World War II service, and beyond. So that's the museum threw that in there as a nice,
fantastic. And I've actually flown in the C-47 a couple of times, and it's great fun, especially as you go roaring down the runway, and then you feel that tail lift up, and because you're sitting at a pretty steep angle in the back of that thing, and the tail goes up, and then off you go, you're airborne. It's great, absolutely fantastic. Next question we've got for you is, where can people find out more about HeritageCON 17?
So we're going to send people in two directions. For tickets, entry fees, all that, go to warplane.com. That's the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum's website, and then cycle to the events page. It's, I think, the second or third event in the queue right now, given that we're the end of January, into February, I guess, at this point. for all things HeritageCON, contest-related categories, potential opportunity to sponsor a category, contest rules, how to get to the online registration system. Please visit IPMS Hamilton's website. Just punch that into Google, it'll come up, and then navigate to the HeritageCON subpage. There's lots then of there's the agenda for the day. We've got a couple speakers, when things will open, how to get, as I mentioned, to the registration portal, and we'll also then send people back to the museum and vice versa from their page to ours. So Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum website for tickets, and IPMS Hamilton for all things contest registration and other general information.
Fantastic. Duncan, thanks so much for joining the show.
Yes.
We wish you all the best for a wonderful show this year. Fingers crossed that it doesn't snow. And I'm sure everybody who we hear from every year has a wonderful time when they go there. So looking forward to hearing about how wonderful the show is, and also looking forward to hear who won the Moosery Cup.
And seeing all the photos online.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, well, I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and speak to all of the listeners around the world that you folks reach out to. And and if anyone has questions, just again, navigate to IPMS Hamilton's webpage. We have, lots of opportunity there to send a question in, and we'll get back to people fairly quickly.
No worries. Thanks very much, Duncan.
Thanks again.
Catch you, mate. Well, it's a good chat with Duncan, and another exciting modelling show coming up that if you got the opportunity to, certainly recommend you make the effort to get over to HeritageCON 17. Even if you don't like models, you can go and check out all the great aircraft.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'd like to go there one year.
It's a great museum. It's a great museum. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they don't like models, then why
They're not listening
why
to us
are
anyway.
they listening to us?
Didn't think that one through, Dave.
No, I didn't. Gents, it's been a big show for us.
It has, yes.
And this is an extra episode only because we've got another big interview coming up next week, and I know that one will run for quite a while. So there was no way we could fit everybody in at the same time, hence the reason for doing this extra show. So hope you're enjoying it. Ian.
Well, I'm off to the Hobby Man.
Go.
Yes.
Go buy a model for the 48-hour bill.
Yeah, go see if they got a Sherman.
I might join you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You two guys go and model.
Go to the Hobby Man, and after the Hobby Man, go to Bottle-O, get some beers, because it's going to be hot for the next few days, 3 days.
We've got 4 days of 38 degrees.
Yeah, so in America, that's close to just over the hundreds.
Yeah.
So, good beer drinking weather.
Isn't any weather good beer drinking weather, really?
No, not really. Winter time, it's whiskey.
Oh, okay, there you go.
That's a good way of putting it, actually. I'm not much of a whiskey drinker, so I don't really drink in.
Yeah, I don't mind me whiskeys.
I had a terrible time with whiskey once upon a time, and so whiskey
Well,
and
I mean,
got
I'm a bourbon and Coke guy,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Yeah. So, so that's my afternoon.
Cool. All righty. All right, gents, we'll be back in a fortnight.
That we will.
And
No,
we'll be back in a week.
Yes.
There you go.
Get with the plan, Dave.
I know, it's my show, I can't even remember. All right, guys, thanks very much for being with us.
Bye.
So,
Thanks for joining us on the show. And don't forget, if you want some more fantastic podcasts on scale modelling, go check out modelpodcast.com, which is a listing of all the other fantastic shows for your listening pleasure. Don't forget, we also recommend our good friend Stuart from Black Hat Scale Models YouTube channel. Go and check that out as well. And, of course, our other good mate, Clayton Ockerby, Workbench Hobbies on YouTube. Go and check both of those fantastic shows out. And don't forget to subscribe to them as well so you get notified of regular updates. And the same with this particular podcast as well. If it's not already ticked, go and tick subscribe so that you get notifications of when the latest podcast is released. We'll be back next week with another great show and another really interesting guest. So hope you can join us. Thanks very much. Bye.